It looks like it happened again. Is there something on the inside of this housing that I am not seeing? Because I've never had this kind of trouble before, but that lip definitely looks like it's kind of tweaked up there. Even though it's, yeah, I can see the metals pull it. Dag burn it. Put some in the swear jar. Now there are a couple little bits of crud in there. Just be a lesson. Make sure them seal holes are good and clean. It's almost like little bits of chatter from when they machined the hole. Well, the good news is I got those pretty cheap on eBay. Got the 2 seals for less than what one would have cost your Agco. And amazingly enough, Agco was cheaper than pretty much all the other seal suppliers I could find online. So, support your local dealer. Some of the stuff may seem expensive, but you shop around and they might be the best deal going. And they're there when you need them, hopefully. You know, I gotta say, back in our day when we were open, it would be frustrating because customers, people from the area would go to Ohio, Indiana, to the big dealers. They'd get a better deal down there than we could give them just because of bulk. You know, they got better discounts from the manufacturers from ordering more than we could justify. And I can understand that. Farming's expensive. It's a tight margin. But then they'd come to us and wonder why we didn't stock parts for something they bought at a dealer in another state, something we never sold here. We'd get them their parts, but you know, generally we would stock parts for stuff we sold, common parts. There's some learning curve to that. You know, as the equipment ages, you figure out which parts are gonna start failing first or wear out quickest. All right, I'm also gonna forego using that seal driver. I'm kind of wondering if I'm just not hitting it square. I don't know, but it should make it better. And I don't feel like it is. Okay, hopefully the 3rd time is the charm, or I'll have to go order more seals. Oh, don't you fold over. Don't you mess that up. I brought something for that occasion. This eventuality. Not my prettiest job of driving it in, but the important part looks square and even, which is better than I was doing before. We can blame it on the part, but it's probably operator error. So, you know, don't do this at home. Do it right instead of what you see on the internet. I think that's going to work just fine. All right, let's get the shaft back in there. It can ride up on the shaft without too many issues. There it goes. Well, as long as we've got this right here, here's one of the clutch discs I took out. It was in it. Obviously that's going to fit. Here's the ones I got off the electronic bay. There's supposed to be Raybestos branded. So, you know, a well-known name. Well, I can even see the word Raybestos in it. Same OD. And look at that. Fits like a glove. I bought, everybody on eBay either sells them individually for a ridiculous amount or in packs of 5 because that's what a Turbo 400 takes. So, and we need 6. So I went ahead and bought a pack, or, you know, 2 packs of 5, and I'll just, you know, eventually build up enough to do another one or something, have some extras. So for 10 of them, $52 delivered, you're talking, you know, just over $5.24 a piece for these, as opposed to, well, you can't get them from Agco or most places, but that's a lot cheaper than, you know, the 30 to 40 bucks a piece you usually see for friction discs. And I'm sure it's just a matter of they make a boatload of these for GM transmissions. They have the same thickness, and obviously everything else is fitting. So if you want to do that, there we go. I had the other number in there, the Raybestos part number earlier in the video. The Raybestos R5, let's see, the Raybestos R559590. This is used in a turbo hydromatic 400 automatic transmission. So, you know, there's lots of sellers selling them. Probably a local auto parts, Napa or something like that can get them for you. But we don't have to, and this only applies to the early over and unders. Later ones, they decreased the tooth count, made the teeth a little bit bigger, and those are still available from Agco. But these early ones, like the 1855 here, this is actually out of an 1855, but my Project 1855 is new enough. It's a 74. It has the newer style clutch discs in it. I'm quite sure. I'd have to go back and watch that video. But most of your whites, the later Olivers have it. So your late 50 series, early 55 series are going to have this style shaft in them, most likely, unless it's been replaced. So my advice is don't go buying parts until you have it apart. Until you know what's in there, because some things may have been replaced, updated, whatever. Especially on the early ones. If I get it all over past there, then they just dance around. It's been a few days since I've worked on this, but we've gotten rain. I've gotten caught up on some other projects I needed to get done. So let's get back at it. This is just a piece of exhaust pipe I cut a notch out of. Makes a nice tool to press this down. Got a little window there to get the pliers in. But the snap ring can't go flying a million miles away. Or in my eye. There. Just like so. Yeah, stay in there. Well, let's see. I doubt this piston will just fly out on its own. But we'll get that out and put some new seals in. Is it gonna come? It is. If it doesn't want to come out, this is the hole the oil normally comes through to feed it, and then you got a seal on each side. You can blow just a little compressed air in there and it'll pop this baby right out. These are a Teflon seal. So they can be prone to doing that, but we're replacing it, so it doesn't matter. And there's an O-ring underneath to support it, give it some springiness. Oh, it is so humid out. There, got underneath it. It's times like this I like winter. That probably makes some of you cringe. There's also a seal on the inside. Don't lose those, because like here's a package of all the Teflon seals, 2 for the direct drive piston, 2 for the overdrive piston, but they're not marked. You have to just match them up. I mean, obviously this is this one, but kind of helps to make sure you got that one to hold it up there. They're enough different. It's pretty obvious. But all right, I will get this stuff cleaned up, and we'll be ready to go back together. I have sorted out the right O-ring. I like to put just a little grease on them. It'll blend in. That in there. Here's the outer one. Always wipe your pick on your shirt so you ain't getting dirt on your other stuff. Okay, this should be the inside one. The inside one usually isn't too bad. And the outside one usually isn't too bad, but it gets stretched a little bit going over the edge. So sometimes it's a good idea to give it a little time to shrink back down. I think this is the outside's the bigger one. Yes, it is. And I'll lube it some so that it's less likely to, do bad things. Another trick is to soak that ring in like warm oil or even warm water. That softens it up some, but I always worry about maybe stretching it if it's softer, but generally it will go back to its original size. You give it a little time. I'll feel this chamfer for any edges, same here, that somehow or another may have ended up on it after that whole seal thing. I don't need more trouble. I've got just the right amount as it is. We'd always keep extras of these Teflon rings in stock at the dealership, because every now and then one wouldn't want to get in there right and would shave a little bit off from it. And then the tears would start. Hopefully you're seeing what I'm doing. Might help if I aim up a little higher. Aim high. This has got a rounded end on it, so I'm not using the pokey part, in case you're wondering. I'm almost thinking I should put it back in the press and put the spring in there and put ever so slight spring pressure on it, just so it holds it. And then as I walk this in there, it should, do its thing. Or I can get like that. I think it started. One side definitely is. There it goes. No press required. Okay, ready to go back in the press. I got to wash up those spring parts up here, but then, you know, that'll be instant for you. In case you're wondering what order these go, you got this baby. It's flat on that side. Then this got holes in it. And then you can either put this thing, some of the later ones don't have this. They're simplified them a little bit. Spring, and then that. A little dirty in there, but you know, the inside of that doesn't matter. The PTO shaft just goes through there. It's sealed from everything else. Just don't need it getting into the over and under. All right, we'll get this started. Then we just got to put our tool on. And someone's probably wondering, what size is this exhaust pipe? And you know what? I don't recall. But boy, that sure makes it easy. Yep. Just like that, it's in there. Well, this is one of those earlier styles that only has the single snap ring capturing the shaft. Later ones, I wouldn't even pull the shaft out of the drum like this. Also makes them a little more, I don't know, interesting to load, not terrible. So we have our thick plate that goes, so you can see where it's against the piston. That's why it's thicker. Then one of our new Raybestos discs. And what was I gonna do to lube that? We'll just put a little ATF in the bottom of this bucket now that it's clean. A little splash. You know, some rat bait. Stick this in there. Get it coated really well. I know some guys let them want, maybe the instruction says something about soaking them for a while, but by the time this gets back in the tractor, it's gonna be soaked. I haven't had one go out yet. It'll get re-doused when I bench test it with a drill, which ain't gonna put a lot of stress on it. That'll get some more fluid in there. All right, so friction separator. Should have 6 frictions when it's all said and done. So that's 2. Am I recording? Yes, I am. The eternal struggle of being on YouTube. The best stuff always happens when the camera's off. So there's 3. There's separator. Fortunately, these are in excellent shape. Actually, the old discs, the friction part wasn't bad. It's just the teeth that were missing. I probably don't need to talk about that because, you know, if you're watching this video, it's probably been a month since I started this project. But that's the price they pay when you say no hurry and you bring it to me during planting season. Yes, life has taught me never tell someone no hurry. They will take you serious. So what am I at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. and 6. And then finally, the thick end one that has the, you know, teeth part way down so the snap ring can fit in. It's like a puzzle, especially if you're good at them. Get in there. There it's going. Sometimes you have to, depending on just the thickness of everything and how it comes together, you have to take the BAP snap ring out and push the shaft in from the front. But that looks like it should work. Now I just need to get the 2 sealing rings that go here and get those on. There. That's the easy part, getting them hooked. Woo! We've already seen that. And we'll see some more. See, that's what I don't like about this drum can move. And of course, obviously they figured that out because they added a second snap ring that really locked this shaft into place. But I'm sure they were trying to save a buck wherever they could. I think I'm just asking too much of my hands. When I was younger and I had a young man's hands, no problem. Let me get some channel locks. Got the first one, and you know, I wasn't recording. I'm not squeezing super tight here. I don't want to mar anything up. I just want a little strength advantage. I found if I carefully, there, pop that over with a real small pick, away it goes. They are hooked. All right, that should be able to go into the assembly now. I'm trying to think. Yep, I'll need the thrust washer that goes there. But I think everything else is ready to go. Yeah, now, you know, since it's been a while, I'm trying to remember, make sure I haven't forgot anything. You know, if there's extra pieces, I guess it'll come out in a wash. I put a little grease on those sealing rings just so they slide in to where they need to be a little better, easier, something. I also have the thrust washer in there. So there's that first sealing ring trying to enter. Now its friend needs, there it goes. The thrust washer back there. We can get that back in later. Now we gotta get the teeth all mesh and there. Oh, let's see if I can remember what to do next. Yeah, I want to get this counter shaft up in there. So then I need to have my little alignment pin and whatnot. Well, I need to find an O-ring for this end and clean it up, and then it can go in. And it does have a bolt comes into this, and that just keeps the shaft from spinning and also holds it tight because there's a O-ring that seals against here to let lube oil in for here. Okie dokie. That was almost too easy. Okay. Yeah. Trying to get that washer back in place. See, it wasn't too easy. Gotta have that tab facing down so it locks in. There it goes. It needs to be like that. Well, I looked at the cover, the rear cover here, and I'm 180 degrees off. But that's easy to solve. We just leave that on. And it's just got to be in there enough to hold and guide everything. Now I just need to find the plug. This plug has a recess cut in for the small O-ring. That seals the bolt that goes in there, and that needs to face the inside. And then obviously the O-ring on the outside. Now I've got the hiccups all of a sudden. And then the cover's got to cut out to seal here, and that's where lube oil goes through. But at this point, we can tip her down and start loading stuff into the back and cleaning it up as it goes. Now, when tipping this forward, we don't want this shaft to come out with the counter shaft in. It's not going to go too far, but some of the later ones you have to put the counter shaft in after the input shaft. I could put the input shaft in now, but then it's harder to tip this down, and that back end just loads better when everything is like I said, it ain't gonna go too far. It's on it. Oh, I hate the humidity. All right, this one goes this way. Like I say, the cut ledge facing back so it can engage the cut in the cover. We will start with a separator. I don't see a thing wrong with these overdrive clutches, so we're going to give them the full send and reuse them. There's a little sign of heat. It appears to be flat. I bet we're going to find that the pressure is a little low on this baby. Let me get to where I can test it. That looks fine. Usually if the pressure is low, overdrive is the one that seems to take the brunt of it. And there's the last one. We've got the return springs that go in the every other hole that doesn't have a bolt in it. Like so. The output bearing feels really good. We'll leave that alone. But we'll replace the seal because I think that was one of the offending things, and that seal is, yeah, it's done. It's done. That's for sure where he was getting the bolt was leaking. These are just bolts with the heads cut off and kind of chamfered down, in case anybody's wondering. Hasn't seen one of my other 3-speed repair videos. Now for the new, sprag clutch. Let's see if it goes in there like it's supposed to. I think it will. So you can read all their info. They have come up with a substitute. First thrust washer is already down in there. Now, I think I got the wedges leaning the right way. We'll be able to test that in a moment. Let's see, the engine goes this way. So we want the freewheel of the thing. This has got to be able to go faster. That seems right. Now just get those little buggers to lean over and Oh, there's it starting. Don't want to beat on it. What do I do with my O-ring pick? Why don't I just throw stuff on the floor? Yeah, just playing with the old sprag, a couple of the wedges came out. So yeah, that's not good. It was time. Tipping wedges, trying to get them to, you know, go in without destroying it. I'd say the original one drops in easier. Oh, would you look at that? I popped it back out. Sure hope I'm getting it in the right direction. Better getting them to lean just enough to get it to drop in there. Oh, I think we have success. All right. Oh, let's see. What did I do with that sprocket? There it is. Okay, so engine turning this way. If it freewheels, yeah, it does freewheel, and in the right direction. We'll know better when I bench test it. We'll give you a straight down shot so you can see which way straight down shot so you can see which way the wedges are leaning, and the part number is facing the back. I assume they always put them together that way, but yeah. When this here is trying to turn it in underdrive, it turns that way. The wedges try to straighten, that grabs the shaft, turns it. But then if you go down a hill, the shaft tries to, or can turn faster, and the wedges release. And then when you go to overdrive, this stops and this turns faster, and so they have to release. That's the magic. I think I've got it. Now the sun has come out, you know, to enhance the humidity. Blech. Okay, here's the other thrust washer that they recommend using, since this sprag is just a little bit narrower, and it looks like that's going to work just fine. Then there's this thrust that goes between the sun gear and the back cover. And as you can see from the wear patterns, it goes with the little cutout flutes facing towards the back cover, like so. Okie dokie. I need to clean up the back cover, so because it should be the next thing to go on. This is the hole that pressurizes the piston. You can see the drilling right down there, hopefully. So, you know, if you want to use some air to get it out, just blow a little in there and it'll pop right out. Typically, if you do damage it, there's a little, you know, flake that got shaved off. And I'm not seeing anything. So that is good. Put a little dab of grease there, and a little dab of grease there. That helps hold the O-rings in. Ow! Yeah, I just dropped the grease gun right on the tip of my fingernail. And then we need, not that one. That one might be for there. Maybe that one? Boy, that's looking right. Yeah, that one's smaller. And the rest are smaller. So it must be this one. Rust washer, return spring that pushes against the piston to return it when you get it go out of overdrive. I to find another bag in the seal kit, but it should come with new copper washers for these 5 bolts here, because the threads go all the way through the case so oil can wick its way through. We don't need a mess. It would be a minor mess, but a mess nonetheless. Another thing to do is to watch out. Sometimes the washers get left in those holes and you want to make sure they're picked out. Yeah, this one's got looks like a steel washer on it. That wasn't quite the right size. Need to get it up there to where the O-ring can go on a shaft before the sprocket goes in. Clang. Get back in there. There. Okay. Somewhere in all that seal kit is a new locking collar. Let me grab that. We're going to do the same trick here we did on that Hydra Power I did earlier this year for Doug's Cockshut 1555. Before I stake stuff down too tight. There's that new. Let's see, we got the O-ring in, the seal's in. But I got another bear hug, a nylon type lock, to just give it an extra bit of, locking. So that's a BH-08. Trying to think, I think I might have found this one on eBay. We'll do some testing before I crank this down too much. Double bolts, guide bolts, whatever you want to call them, on the front. And we'll just go ahead and slide this on. I got the O-ring on, got it lubed. We want this little notch to line up with the shifter. Oh, that's going pretty good. Now, first we'll test underdrive. Now, this is the normal travel of the engine. So when you're in underdrive, that should be able to go faster. That's how you coast downhill. So we're good there. Can't go the other way. Try to hold it back, it locks together. I gotta, it's gotta turn. I can't do it. That's good. Bottom hole is direct drive. That goes through the housing and through whatnot. So if I blow air in here, we should see this kind of jump and lock together. Like that. Now we're in direct. And it still turns. Takes more effort than under, but that's to be expected. And I didn't hear just a little bit of air leakage, which that could just be the lubrication. But that and those cast iron sealing rings. As everything seats together. But now this one's all O-rings and stuff, so it should feel good. This is overdrive on the top here. So. Yep, I can see that's working. If I had that sprag in backwards, it would lock right up and over and direct, because we'd be trying to fight the sprag if it was in backwards. So definitely got it in the right way. And underdrive, the drum And this gear should turn at the same speed because you're getting your gear draw reduction through these gears. And they appear to be. We can do the grease test. We'll put a dab of grease right there and a dab of grease right there. I'll hold that without, tearing my hand up. And look, they come around together. This is the time I should have the glove on. So let's see if I put it in direct. This should go faster than that. And then in overdrive, it should go faster yet. Direct. Oops. Okay, let's get that back here. Yeah, look how quicker that got around there. And then overdrive. Faster yet. Cool beans. Huh. Yeah, you can definitely see on the later ones that has a snap ring on each side of the drum. You don't get that movement out of the drum, but there's really no way to stop it. All the thrust washers are in place. That's just basically the gap between the clutch discs. So there we are. I think we're ready to throw a side cover on. So I can tighten that up. I'll do that before. I can put something in here to jam the gears. I'll finish tightening that up. Nut sticks up just a skosh farther than the shaft, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. Set a locking tab right there. That's cranking on it pretty good. I'm trying to remember, it's like a couple 100 foot-pounds of torque or something, but on goes the side cover. All hail the meat hammer. Well, I thought, let's skip some of the, bolt turning and stuff. We know what's going on. Jump ahead to the good part. Got oil in it. It's all, ready to roll. So let's see. I put a new magnetic drain plug in it. The old one was pretty beat up. So it should be ready, like I say, to roll. Oop, other way. There, now everything's getting filled up. Got about 25 psi on the loop or on the lube, but usually it takes more speed to get the lube circuit. That's more like it. Now let's shift back down a gear because we're going to shift gears. Oh, I'm running out of hands. Let's just. All right, I could probably do it. All right, direct drive. Here we come. Yeah, looks like about 135, definitely on the low side. I was actually going to anticipate a little lower than that, but it probably would have really smoked things if that was the case. Yeah, fluid, move out of my way. Yeah, I'd say about 135. Let's do that again. Now let's try overdrive. That ain't good. That ain't good at all. Now direct jumps in. Oh, there's overdrive. I was going backwards. Yep, about the same again, 135. That had me worried. You were probably all yelling at your screen, Chris, that's underdrive. You were just there, you moron. So, we definitely need to add some shims. Fortunately, the seal kit comes with shims. I want to get this up more like around 180. That one over there. 135. I think 140 is the bottom end of what they recommend. I don't know, I'd have to pull a book out, but it definitely needs to be more. I'm like, why ain't overdrive working? Because I'm stupid. Toing. Yeah, we got one shim in there. We'll add, I can't remember. I think each shim is like, is it 10 PSI? I don't know. Let's see how many's in the kit. Okay, the kit came with 4 shims. I'm just gonna put them all on there and see what it makes. Maybe I'll put a little grease on them. So once again, they don't go wandering around on me while I'm trying to install it. Well, we definitely have the sprag in the right way. I don't know. Somebody does. Otherwise, it would have locked up as soon as it got in a director over. Here comes the fun part. Pushing on that and threading it in at the same time. Oh, they should have put longer threads on these so they could start without a lot of pressure against them. And then, yeah, you gotta turn it a lot, but at least you can get it in there. Okay, you guys keep an eye on that while I go get another crescent wrench. I think we have something. Let's go back to underdrive. And yeah. Woo! That got me up to 160. That's a lot better. It's not what I was hoping for. Let's try over. Yeah, 160 to kind of bouncing between 160 and 165. Help if it was turning a little faster, but pressure is pressure. I think I'd just get a little more consistency. It wouldn't bounce so much at the low if it had higher RPMs. But that bypass or pressure regulating valve will do things. Sure, you want to hear all that. Oh, this is a 1650 book, but it says maximum 160, minimum 140, so it's definitely running low. And it's within spec, but I know they bumped them up on later units. And this is out of an 1855, but I bet the spec is the same. Let me look at that book. Oh, 17, 18, 19, 22, 55. Maximum 160, minimum 140. I don't have any more shims, so I might just leave it alone. It's turning a little bit over what they recommend. Let's see what the white book says. Now the 2135 book, they jumped up to 170 to 190. When the oil was at 130 degrees, then they were okay with 140 to 160. So it's still kind of falling in there. It ain't 135 degrees, it just feels like it. Oh, what to do? I'm pretty sure I used up the shims I had working on Doug's hydropower. As the oil warms up, it gets a little thinner, and so the pressure may drop. But this is also at a pretty low RPM, not even idle speed for the tractor. So it's probably going to be all right. Let's try second gear, if nothing else for a moment. See what a little more speed will do. Yep, battery time. Ow! Ow! That's some torque. Man. All right, it probably ain't gonna like this. Let's try second gear again. Yeah, for just a brief moment there, I needed both hands to hold against the torque. It'll cut out to keep the drill from, ruining itself, but it was jumping up to, what would that be? About 170, 175. I think we're good. Just got to ease into it. Yeah, she's getting warm. Yep, I think we're going to leave her there. It's slightly over spec, which I like because they did increase the pressure later on in the white era. So I think it's going to be good there. And I guess that makes it done. I just got to put the clutch shaft in, take this off, cap things off. Stuff. But you don't need to see that. Probably the biggest thing to take away from this is the replacement sprag clutch. Appears to work, appears to fit and work. And then the replacement clutch discs seem to work just fine. That's the takeaway. There are some replacement parts available, even though AGCO is starting to discontinue some of them. So if you need that sprag, get a hold of Welters. If you need the clutch discs, you got the part number, you can get online and find them that way, or your local auto parts store. Probably ought to get them, be able to get them. And that's that. Hope everybody enjoyed watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.